Welcome to the Finance Marketing Podcast, a show that empowers finance professionals to market their businesses in ways that feel good and actually achieve results. I'm your host, Hillary. I've been working with folks in financial services to develop marketing strategies that work and create results-oriented marketing content since 2020. And I've learned a lot about what works in finance marketing, what doesn't work, and where financial services pros get stuck. Join us each Friday as we explore real, effective ways to market your finance business and connect with folks who truly embody your ideal clients. In today's episode, I'm excited to welcome Olivia Luper, founder of Lexicon Advisor Marketing, which is a full-service outsourced digital marketing agency that helps financial professionals build brand awareness, grow their network, and land more clients they love. Olivia brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table, and she's here to share some invaluable insights that can help you elevate your marketing game and really get a 30,000-foot view over how all of your efforts are connecting together. So during our conversation, Olivia and I dive really deep into the essentials of lead gen, the importance of a well-rounded strategy for all of your marketing efforts, and how automation can be a game changer for financial advisors. We explore the 3 critical stages of a successful marketing strategy, which are building awareness, capturing leads, and then nurturing those leads to conversion. And Olivia also shares practical tips on leveraging tools like LinkedIn for effective lead generation and the power of email marketing in turning prospects into loyal clients. So whether you're just starting to dip your toes into digital marketing or you're looking to refine your existing strategy, this episode is packed with some really great advice that can help you connect with your target audience more effectively so that you're not wasting your energy on things that don't work. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, I'm so excited to welcome Olivia onto the Finance Marketing Podcast today. How are you, Olivia?
I'm doing just well. I wish it wasn't so hot here in South Florida, but other than that, I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about some financial advisor marketing and share some wisdom and help some advisors move forward.
Awesome. I'm so excited too. I think that you and I, there's some overlap between what we do, and there's also some differences between what we do. And so I'm really excited to dive into that and get some of your perspectives on things that I don't find myself talking about very often. I think that would be really, really valuable. So I would
I'm no
love.
good luck, so ask me anything.
Amazing. I would love to start if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, maybe how long you've been in financial advisor marketing and how you help your clients with their marketing.
Yeah, definitely. So we actually opened our doors in 2018. My mother-in-law is in the financial advisor space. She does business consulting. And at the time I was just had my son, he was 2, and I just finished my master's degree in English literature. And I really didn't want to go back to teaching high school. It really wasn't for me. So I was kind of thinking about what was going to happen next. My mother-in-law suggested entering the advisor space because there
Mm.
really weren't a lot of good writers or marketers back then. There are a lot more today who are super talented and do a lot of great work, which I love to see. Back then, there weren't really many choices. And so we really started out as a content development company. We used to be called Lexicon Content Development. We would just write articles and blogs and social posts. And our clients found that they really didn't know what to do with the content once they purchased it. And they really weren't utilizing it to the best of their ability. So then we really evolved. We became Lexicon Advisor Marketing, and we decided that it really the way that we could help best was by being a fully outsourced digital marketing department for advisors who didn't have the capacity or didn't want to spend the money and do the training to hire in-house. So I act sort of as the term that they use a lot in referring to their own services as the quarterback who sort of integrates all of the efforts between social media, email, SEO, digital advertising, and we build a strategy based on the advisor target audience. And then we go all in on helping them land more clients they love.
I love that so much. And I have to just circle back. I had no idea that you and I had such similar backgrounds. My bachelor's and my master's are in English. Mine are in
Oh,
English linguistics, and I'm also a former teacher. So that's so great to make that connection. And suddenly Lexicon Advisor Marketing makes so much sense to me
right.
with the name. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's really cool. I
Yeah,
didn't know about you either.
I know. So
it sounds like now you've incorporated a lot more of kind of doing the back end stuff to make sure that there are the right connections between the content that advisors are posting. Is that right?
Yeah, so today more than ever, especially with Google becoming so inundated with easy to create content, it's harder to be found in search. With more people who have gotten the message, in 2018, it was like if you were showing up on social media as an advisor, you were like ahead of the game. But
Yeah.
now it's so saturated that less than 5% of your audience is seeing your organic feed. So it becomes critical to figure out how are we going to build that brand awareness? How are we going to get eyes on our brand? And then once we do get eyes on our brand, how are we going to keep that lead engaged? How are we going to capture their information so we can stay top of mind, start those conversations, start building those relationships? But we don't want to do this all manually, of course, because want to be client facing and working in our business and doing all of the other things, wearing all of the other hats that we have to wear. So what we try to do whenever possible is set up automations between our omni-channel marketing efforts so that the advisor really is only coming in at the minute when the lead is on the calendar.
I love that. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, at the kind of top of funnel, if you will. And I think the term here that you and I have both used is lead gen. Can
Yeah.
you explain to me what that really means and what kind of activities that you would consider to be lead gen activities?
Yeah, so I'm going to even start just one step before that. And whenever I talk to a prospect on the phone or an advisor I'm just having a conversation with who's inquiring about marketing efforts and digital marketing, I always say there are three buckets that we have to fill in order for our digital marketing plan to work. The first one is to build awareness. So nobody can buy from us or become a client with us if they don't know that we exist. So what activities are appropriate for our target audience to let them know we exist? That's going to be, social media, whether it's organic or paid, um, search engine optimization so that we're found organically, visibly when people go to search. And of course, there's digital advertising. And when we do digital advertising, we can advertise in four different places. We have LinkedIn, of course. That's really good for business owners and people, professionals who are spending time on the platform. For
Mhm.
example, engineers, they might not be spending a lot of time on the platform because they're not business owners. They are probably in some sort of W-2 situation, so they really have no incentive to be there. So we would have to decide what's the best place to advertise to them. um, Facebook and Instagram or Meta, these are social media ads. They are great for filling the email list. However, I do find that they might not be as ready to buy as someone who might be in the third and fourth places, which are Google advertising and open web, or what's also known as programmatic advertising. Those banner ads and graphics that you see on other websites.
Mm.
So when we do the Google, we do retargeting with open web or programmatic. We find that the leads there are a little bit more qualified because they're searching for answers to their problems that they need solved
Mm.
now or in the near future. So we do find that, when we go to that space, if it's appropriate for the target audience, you might find a more qualified buyer, a more qualified lead who's ready to engage in services. So if that's at the build brand awareness level, that will be bucket one. And to get to your point, the lead gen, the second bucket is how are we going to collect leads? How are we going to check off this bucket? And for this, there are a number of different things that we have found that work really well for advisors. Again, one can be advertising to a lead gen funnel. So that would look like, if you, let's say you're scrolling to Facebook, what it looks like to see an advertisement, or you might see an ad set, meaning there are three or four different advertisements from the same company, and they lead to a funnel system. So you might land on a landing page with a little 1 minute video explaining what the offer is that you might get. For some reason, I keep getting these somatic exercise ads in my um, so they take you to a landing page. Maybe they ask you to fill out a few questions, or there's a video explaining like what the offer is. And then at that step, you would put in your email information, and they would be able to market to you ongoing. So that's one option. So there are some like non-advertising options, of course. both in your social feed and in the website. So first, since I'm on social, let's talk about social. Um, there are a lot of options for collecting leads in social media. Um, the most obvious and easiest and doesn't cost money is having some sort of opt-in option in your organic posts and posting that to your profile, building that lead gen form, whether it's subscribe to our newsletter, download our lead magnet, watch our exclusive podcast, watch our exclusive video. And what you want to do with these lead magnets, funnels that you're using for lead generation is make sure that you're giving them an easy win up front, but not giving away all of the information. So we want people to, first we have to entice them to give us their opt-in information, right? They give us our email to unlock this thing that's going to solve magically their problem, right? So we do want to solve part of their problem or give them an easy win, right? The first 3 steps to a successful career transition, what you need to know when and how to avoid costly mistakes. So maybe we give them the first 3 steps that they can accomplish on their own. What this does is once they've done those 3 easy steps, they feel like they're making progress. And this creates a very positive feedback loop to you and your brand. So in their brain now, they have this positive association with you and your brand. And either they're going to seek further help now, or they're going to continue to receive your emails on the back end now that they've opted in. And you'll, continue showing them the benefits of working with you to finish the process. That's just one example. But giving them something like a guide with some easy wins, people aren't really downloading white papers anymore unless you're like Russell Brunson or something. A PDF really isn't going to cut it. So you've really got to have something that adds value. Videos do convert at a higher rate. I know that video is difficult for a lot of people. So that's where those, guides or easy checklist type things would come in place. Another option too for the lead magnet, if you aren't great on video, is creating an explainer video with slides and voiceover. So you can do a voiceover. There's like AI tools out there now that you can have, your presentation turned into a video. So you actually don't have to be face to face and worrying about a script or anything like that. You can read your script and just do a voiceover. So there's a lot of options for the lead magnet, but posting organically in your feed, always having a link where they can go to opt in. What I see work really well sometimes is giving snippets or like teasers. And then, hey, this is just a part of our newsletter that we send out every week to help physicians navigate financial retirement planning like you. And then they would go and they would opt in because they liked what they saw and they wanted more of it in their inbox. Subscribe to the newsletter is a really easy one. It's not as enticing. It won't convert at as high a rate, most likely. But still, I post plenty of posts where, the call to action at the end is DM me finance tips to receive or to be added to the email list. And on any given weekday, depending on how active you are in your social media platform or the size of your audience, you can grab 3 or 4 emails just from a post like that and just slowly keep building up your email list so that we can get to bucket 3. Which is converting the leads through email or SMS text message. But there are still some other options for lead collection besides a lead magnet and besides posting those organically to your feed. Like I said, you can do a subscribe to the newsletter landing page. You can also do direct outreach in places like LinkedIn or Instagram. So I'm sure that you've gotten automated messages in one of these platforms before. And sometimes I get pushback from advisors who are like, well, I hate those. They're so annoying. And I said, yes, we do feel that way if they're spammy messaging, one. And if they're like over the top, they're just bothering you every day, multiple times a day. But the reason that people still do it is because it works. I personally run it 365 on LinkedIn, 365 days a year on my LinkedIn. It works really well. We have automation tools that can set this up for you. And there's really, in regards to that pushback, this is what I always like to remind them or kind of illuminate the back end, right? Like there's 4 different outcomes that can come from a LinkedIn automation sequence or an Instagram automation sequence, right? The first step is that the connection request is sent. They're either going to ignore it or they're going to accept. If they accept, they'll start getting your campaign. So your list of scripted messages that are set up in the automation to collect their email and start a conversation. So one is they ignore your message and you never talk to them. Oh well, you at least added another connection to your profile, adds some credibility, grows your network. Now they have a chance to actually see what you're posting organically. So that actually, even if they ignore you, there's still a positive outcome there. Number two is that they do exactly as the messages say, and they, great, put me on your list. Here's my email, and you get their email. The third is that they get mad and they say, stop talking to me, and in which case, okay, fine, this is not going to work anyways. And the fourth is really the most desired outcome, I would say, is that they start a conversation right away. I personally have had my LinkedIn automation lead to a conversation exactly like this. Oh, great. My company has been wanting to get a lead generation funnel for months, and we just didn't really know who to work with in the financial advisor space. Booked a call right then and there. So, and then, another outcome is that they do just book a call through the messages and they get on your calendar. So really there's not really any drawback. You might irritate a few people out of hundreds, but it wasn't meant to be anyways. People do it because it works. So of those kind of lead gen opportunities for social media, now we also want to think about the website, especially if we're running SEO to drive traffic to the site, or we have a high traffic volume anyway. We want to have lots and lots and lots of opt-in opportunities for the advisor to capture people's information who visit the site, right? So I will say that 85% of your your homepage does 85% of the heavy lifting on your website. So you need to have the right messaging there, and you need to have opt-in options. Well, the first place to have an opt-in option is in the top right corner, a button highlighted in a different color than the background, schedule a call. Clear, easy, understand. You might say reserve a consult, schedule a call, whatever you call it, make it clear that it is where they can schedule a call. Also, I like to include the phone number because there are still up in that right-hand corner, because there are still a lot of people who will just phone in, especially like the older generations. So, phone number, opt-in button. Another way that we design the websites for opt-in options is in the hero image, where we have two buttons. One we call the direct CTA, schedule a call, and then we have a transitional CTA, which would go to your lead magnet funnel, or join our email list, whatever is a less threatening option. So there's schedule a call. People have a problem right now. Maybe they've already visited your site 5 times. They're ready. And also that transitional, get the guide, watch our podcast, whatever it is to get their lead information. And then under the fold, if you have a lead magnet set up with a little funnels, automation in the back end, meaning they would opt in with their email and then start receiving a series of nurturing emails on the back end of that. Thank you for joining. Thank you for downloading our guide. This is about who we are. If you have questions, ask now. Here's this link to schedule. If not, use me as a resource. I'm here to help in any capacity, that I can. And then, 4 or 5 emails after that, providing more resources, providing more information about your services, showing some examples of what the benefits of working with you are. And, just that will work them and nurture on the back end. Other places that you want to have opt-in options are on the blog page. So joining the blog, get these cool articles right in your inbox as soon as they come out. Or if you do YouTube, having a subscribe to the YouTube kind of button deal. Whatever you're working with, you want to get people to opt in, subscribe, so we can continuously be in front of them. So I've told you about lead gen for social media. I've told you about lead gen on the website. There are other things you can do, but high level, those are the places I would look first. And then, there's always more complex things that you can do down the road. And so once we get, why, Olivia, are you so obsessed with getting the email addresses? Well, this is where the conversion happens. Less than 1% of people will probably convert to a booked call from social media. So if you think, I'm going to post every day on social media, With no lead collection tool, you're really doing yourself a disservice because you're not allowing people to put their toes in the water and kind of feel around your brand and see how it feels to them and get, used to you. We're that place where they're comfortable. I told my financial advisor when I signed up with him, I said, look, I would rather send you nude photos of myself than show you my bank account statements right now because I'm not the best saver in the whole world. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Money is a very sensitive, intimate topic that people have a difficult time opening up to strangers about. So that's why we need to have these options where people can opt in, start receiving our emails, start receiving our video emails, whatever it happens to be, so that we are consistently in front of them, sharing things that are valuable to them, reminding them of what their life could look like if they partnered with us to get financial planning, and giving them an opportunity to get on our calendar always, or directly respond to the email. Both. You should have a kind of a mix of both in your plan. And so, so now we've got their opt-in, right? We're not going to manually email all of these people. So that's why for every lead magnet, for every welcome to the newsletter, for every whatever it is, opt-in option that you have, you want to have some nurturing sequences on the back end. So I always say there's like two things that every financial advisor needs to have is an opt-in option with a welcome email sequence on the back end, 6 to 7 emails, sharing additional resources, being there, sharing about the team, services, how you help, all over and over and over again. So marketing, as you know, Hillary, I'm sure, is saying one thing 100 times, not 100 things one time. So we really have to just keep showing up and consistent in our messaging, consistent in our benefits and value add. And when the time comes, a money movement or a question or a tough life situation, you're going to be the one that they come to because you've been there and you've been top of mind. Some other options that I really like to do with automation and email are, for example, if you've already got a welcome sequence in place, then maybe you think about putting together a hot lead follow-up sequence. So people have booked a call, but not necessarily are ready to sign up. So they would then be put on a nurture sequence in the email, which is all automated. So personally, I have my nurture sequence set up. It's connected to my Calendly. So when someone books a call, it's automated so that 7 days after that call, they'll receive the first follow-up email. Now, I personally, and I'm sure a lot of advisors do this too, and even other financial service professionals, you'll probably do a personal follow-up, right? Hey, here's what we talked about. It was great meeting you. I see that your pain points are this. These are the services that we talked about could help you estimate for services. Let's keep in touch. But then, 7 days after that or 6 days after that, they will get the first email in the hot lead follow-up sequence. And this is usually a shorter sequence, maybe 2 or 3 emails. This is a great place to share testimonials if you have testimonials, case studies. This is where you want to get those in so that they can see firsthand. Now, you can also put those in your welcome sequence, but when you're doing a hot lead follow-up, these are great tools to use. Other ones are like sending emails to highly engaged subscribers. I actually posted about this morning. In your email marketing tool, you can usually do a filter that'll show you your most engaged email addresses in a certain audience. So then what you would do is write a short and sweet. Don't make it long and crazy because we want it to feel conversational and like we're talking to the person one-to-one. Hey, I noticed that you've been opening our emails, and I hope that you find everything that we send helpful. I wonder, what is it that you're struggling with right now? And, get that direct response copy going with those most engaged subscribers. There are a lot of options. Like, when I first started, having an English literature background, I didn't know that you could do all this crazy stuff, automation and like connect softwares. And so, there are capabilities that if you're using Wealthbox or using Redtail or whatever CRM that you're using, we can do automations between there and your email so that if somebody becomes a client, they stop receiving your sales emails. Or if you enter a new lead in your CRM, like a guy that you met at golf, right? Somebody that didn't come from digital marketing space, he'll still get your emails, right? So it keeps everything tight so we don't have holes in the funnel. And so all of this hard work that we're doing in our email is reaching everyone. And then once they become a client, we make sure that they stop getting solicitation emails and they just start getting the client only emails. So there's so many possibilities. I mean, I think that starting small is better than not starting at all. So, if you're just like, wow, I have none of this in place, this sounds super overwhelming. Like, what would I do first? I would highly recommend three things. One, building a landing page to join your email list and posting about it frequently. So, in your organic social media posts, sharing some information, saying, this is, we send our newsletter out bi-weekly or weekly, whatever you do. If you'd like to hop on the list, follow the link below or DM me the word newsletter and we'll add you to the list. And you can, organically grab some emails that way. The second one would be developing some sort of lead magnet with even if it's just a very rudimentary funnel, meaning there's a lead magnet landing page. They opt in and they get the offer, the guide, the video, whatever it is you decide, and then they get your welcome sequence. So that's option number two. And then what was I going to say for option number three? I can't remember right now, but I guess it was the welcome sequence is the third piece. So a landing page for your join the newsletter, a landing page for a lead magnet, and a welcome sequence. And now what's great about the welcome sequence, and we do this a lot to save money for clients, is that we'll create one welcome sequence for, let's say, subscribe to the newsletter. And, the first email is obviously going to be, hey, thanks for subscribing to the newsletter. And then emails 2 through 7 might be, about your firm, ways you help, et cetera, et cetera. Those 2 through 7 can be duplicated and just make a new email for your lead magnet that says, hey, thanks for downloading our retirement guide. Inside, you'll find X, Y, and Z, and you'll be able to learn X, Y, and Z. And we're here if you need us, and you can schedule a call. So really, you can reuse that welcome email sequence for all of your other lead magnets, assuming they're all the same kind of target audience with the same concerns. You wouldn't want to send, a 10 years out from retirement welcome sequence to people in the accumulation phase. But assuming that they're all going to the same niche, you can kind of reuse that without having to buy or write an entirely new sequence, because emails 2 through 7 are going to be standard per, what services you offer and how the firm operates and such. So I feel like I completely just unloaded. I just get so excited talking about it. And so I don't know. I mean, it's just so many great opportunities, I mean, what do you find, Hillary?
Yeah, this is great. I think I really appreciate you giving this like whole overview, kind of A to Z overview. I mean, a lot of what you talked about are things that I also love to talk about and talk about all the time. I mean, the power of an email list, I think I could talk about it all day long. And so I love like kind of the different options of sequences that you really talked about. I also think there's just so much power with automations these days. Once someone becomes a client, you can have an onboarding sequence for that client, right?
Yeah.
There's just so many things that you can do. One thing that I actually would love to circle back to, and I've kept this in my mind because I wanted to ask this follow-up question, is, I see a lot of people wondering, okay, so I'm going back to LinkedIn, those automated LinkedIn DMs, right? That, may look clearly automated. They may not look clearly automated. As someone who does that and keeps that running 365 days a year, I really want to ask you, like, what kind of results do you see from that? What kind of results should people expect to see from something
Yeah.
like that? And what, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was actually thinking before you asked that question that I should talk about that because I didn't touch on that when I was going through it. But okay, so now there are two ways that you can approach this. You can do it manually. Okay, so back in the day, I actually used to have a VA who would go in and send the connection request. He worked 2 hours a day and he charged a ridiculously low amount. So it cost me hardly anything. But he would go in 2 hours a day in my LinkedIn, make connections with the appropriate people that I helped him find targets for. So, RIA, RIMA, CFP, all of the CDFA, whatever, all of those designations. So he knew what to look for exactly. And it took a little, finessing over the first couple of weeks. But then he caught on and it was quick. So he would go in and send the connection request. And then he would, and now I honestly don't know if he used an automation tool, but I don't think that he did. I think he just has a team who works on LinkedIn pages. So he would go, we pre-scripted 3 or 4 messages together. I approved them, said, okay, do your thing. So he'd send a connection request. Anybody who would accept the request would get the first message. And the first message is not asking for anything, just, hey, thanks for connecting. I love to, see if we have any mutual synergies in the space. Let's keep in touch. And then a few days or a week later, hey, I just want to let you know, like, this is what I do. I'd love to connect through email, as the LinkedIn inboxes can get kind of crazy. And people will either, like I said, ignore you or say no thanks, or sure, put me on your list. Or then maybe the third one is that, I also wanted to let you know we have a newsletter if you wanted to join that. And then the fourth one is maybe, this is the end of the campaign. We're glad that we got to connect. If you ever need help with any challenges with marketing, here's my link to schedule. We're here anytime that you find you need help. And so some people will schedule right there. Some people will give you their email. Some people will ignore you, but it's been really positive. So on the manual side, if you have someone doing that for you, I would say you can expect between 20 and 40 emails in a month. If you're doing it consistently every day. And by consistently, I mean we're doing 25 connection requests a day, connecting at actually 3 or 4 out of those 25 will actually accept. That's kind of the rate on that. However, we do also have a LinkedIn automation service where it is a software doing this instead of a human. So what the software is actually able to do, in addition to just asking people for their email address, is scrub the emails from people who have accepted the connection. So in that case, you can expect to collect between 80 and 120 emails a month at the 25 a day, 3 to 4 actually accepting rate. So if you're doing it manually, you might be in the 30 to 40 range. If you're doing it with the automation tool, you might expect, in the 100 range, give or take 10 or 20. It really just depends on how well you've done your targeting in the front end. And we use Sales Navigator to do that targeting. So, we look at who is the target audience, what parameters can we set to get us the closest to this probability that the connection is this person. And so retirees are difficult. Retirees are difficult. On one end of the spectrum, there's like retirees, because people aren't putting I'm retiring in 10 years in their LinkedIn profile, and there's nowhere to check the box for that.
Right.
So what you want to do is set parameters that are going to get you the highest probability of success to reach someone in that zone, which would be like years at the company, level of seniority, things like that. And then on the other end, where it's super easy to target, is like people of certain industries. So people who work at Southwest, right? So that's really easy. And if you want only people in like the exec and C-suite at Southwest, then again, you're going to put those parameters as, how many years in the company and level of seniority. And then we've done this a lot. And so we kind of know what to do in each situation. There are some circumstances where, let's say, for example, a financial advisor is like, I have like 3 connections with financial advisors. This doesn't make sense. So then we go in and we just make sure that we set the limiting, parameters so that they don't continue to get connected with financial advisors. But that happens, maybe 1 out of 10 times. But if you find that you're going to try to do this on your own, you might just have to play around with the targeting a little bit if you find that the people that you're connecting with aren't really the right fit. But if you are doing it manually, it'd be a lot easier to see. But I don't recommend that advisors spend their time doing that unless they're just brand new startups, in which case, like, you have to put in the elbow grease on your own. But if you afford to do, like, have a VA do it manually, or you can afford, our monthly LinkedIn building service is only $500. It's not anything outrageous. You know what I'm saying? So if you knew that you were going to get 100 emails in a month for $500, I think, that it's well worth your investment. And then, maybe you do your email marketing on your own in the back end, depending on your size and how many years you've been in business. So that's sort of the rates that we can expect on the manual versus the automated side. And so it's been a really positive tool for our advisors to use.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. I've always been curious about this. And so it's just so great to hear from someone who actually does it. Like, these are the numbers that we see. So thank you for sharing those. Now, what are some of the things, let's say that we have some advisors who are doing this on their own at this point, right? Because I'm sure that if they're hiring someone like you to do it, you would not allow these mistakes to happen.
Right.
What are some common pitfalls do you think can happen with something like this?
Okay, so let's say, or did we did this for a FinServe Pro, so like they also serve financial advisors.
Hmm.
So they were actually investment officers, investment management services. So there were two of them partners, and they were afraid that maybe they would both send we would both send messages to the same person, right? So that the message from person A and the message for person B would go to the same connection and they would look the same. So obviously it was not.
Mm.
Well, this is what I have to say about that is that I think that people in business can recognize and appreciate when you're doing things to build your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in 2024, most people expect that automation is part of that. And me personally, I respect the hustle. I mean, I get it. Like I don't get annoyed. I mean, maybe this is because I'm in marketing, but I understand that this is the way people generate business. And this is, if they have set that they take the time to set this up and then, have this automation on the back end where they're connecting, like I'm impressed. Good for you, man. Like, for example, someone reached out. I get a lot of messages, automated messages, because people think I'm a financial advisor,
Yeah, happens to
because
me
my
too.
whole page says financial advisor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just, like there was a guy who was like, oh, if you need, help with your financial advisor podcast, I guess this is not the same kind of example, but I was like, oh, I don't do a podcast anymore. And he's like, good to know. But I knew it was an automation
Yeah.
and I knew that he would respond. So this is one caveat to doing the LinkedIn list building, whether you're doing it manually or automated. You have to go in and respond to people who respond to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they just give you a thumbs up or thanks or happy face, like whatever, we don't necessarily need to respond to that. But if you get a message like, yes, my team wants a funnel, I'm so glad you reached out. Yeah, awesome. Here's my link to schedule a call. And the automation stops because you were talking to them and, whatever.
Mm. And
So
does that happen automatically if you have an automation set up, but then you go in and actually respond with a personalized message? Will that automatically stop the automation?
well, it depends on what program you're using. There's some
Mm.
that you can do it and some that you can't. It just kind of depends what
Okay.
platform that you're on. But in most cases, I mean, you just check with your provider and see what the deal is, because I think there's one program out there I know called like Dripify, I think is what it's called. I've never used it, but I know it exists. I know other people who've used it. So I don't know what those capabilities are. I think you
Mm-hmm.
just need to check ahead of time. Um, but if not, you can go into your platform and just, remove them from the sequence so that they'll be in your email database now, but they're not going to continue to get your LinkedIn messages. And again, this is something that you can get your intern or a VA or even your CSA to do 10 minutes in the morning every day or in the afternoon, whatever, just put it on your calendar, even if it's every other day. Like go in, see if anybody's talked to you. So when I used to do it manually, what I used to do was have my VA put those in the other folder in LinkedIn.
Mm.
So I would just go into the other folder and he would also let me know like, hey, so and so responded, please respond to him, because he's there to help me like generate business. So there are different things that you can do, but like if you're on your own, just go in every day for 10 minutes. And I know this sounds crude, but I say most of us bring our phones to the bathroom,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So just pop into LinkedIn and just see if anybody wants your business. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? So just spend the 10 minutes a day, look, have a conversation with people who have conversations. And even like you might connect with some COIs where there's some mutual synergies. You could do an interview like this and, share each other's networks and expand the people that, know about you. There's just a lot of positive outcomes that can come from it, manually or automated, doing that direct outreach. And you can do it also in Instagram. I mean, just look at where your target audience is spending time,
Yep.
and that's where you want to focus your efforts. Don't try to do it all of them at once.
Yep.
Pick the things, pick the places you think they're going to be, try it out. If it's not working, try another spot, and then whatever works, double down on that. Like if you spread yourself too thin, you're not going to really get any traction. So you got to like just make sure that you focus on the areas where you are seeing success and double down on those areas.
I love this. There's enough content and copy to create for one single funnel, right? You don't need to be on all of the platforms.
Right.
There we have enough to do, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's busy enough. So this has been so great, Olivia. As we start to wrap up, is there anything that I haven't asked you yet, or anything that you want to just circle back to put a fine point on before we wrap up our conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I just always like to go back to that. 9 out of 10 times when I meet with an advisor, they're working really hard to like
Yeah.
generate business, but they're only so focused on that awareness stage. Like, I started a podcast and I'm posting to social media and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, but what are you doing to collect the lead?
Yeah.
What system is in place to collect those email addresses, and what system is in place, that's bucket 2, and what system is in place for bucket 3, the nurture on the back end,
Yeah.
because those two pieces are most of the time what is missing. And people up in step 1, they're working so hard, their efforts, they're getting viewers to YouTube, they're getting people engaging with their posts, but they're not asking for that lead collection information. They're not providing a chance for those people to become a part of their ecosystem. We need them in our ecosystem so that we can see that conversion in the email or the text message or a combination of both. Just make sure, don't just focus on bucket 1. Make sure buckets 2 and 3 are also taken care of for. And if you can do that, then you can generate business online.
I think that was such a great point to end on, Olivia. And, before we hit record, I told you, I'm not really sure that I have a full grasp of what lead gen even really is. And as you're talking through, I'm like, oh, I do know what lead gen is. I just didn't know what to call, So I love that you've just kind of simplified and opened back the veil on this, I think, somewhat murky term that gets thrown around a lot. So this has been so, so helpful. If people want to learn more about you and what you do, where's the best place to find you?
Well, I am in LinkedIn a lot. On my personal page, Olivia Luper. My website is lexiconadvisormarketing.com. And you can also check out my Instagram page. I do post there quite frequently, but LinkedIn and my website are really the best places to go.
Okay, great. Well, I'll link to all 3 in the show notes so people can go to wherever they hang out the most. And just really appreciate your time, Olivia. Thank you so much for sharing so many insightful things with us.
No problem, Hillary. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. If you're eager to market your business in a way that feels good and actually gets results, sign up for the Finance Marketing Podcast newsletter in the show notes so you never miss another episode. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening app and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you back here next Friday.